You're not quiet. Well, I just said quiet. You start yawning. And welcome everybody to what is undoubtedly not a very exciting Formula One review of the 2023 Spanish Grand Prix. Yes, Spanish. We were back in Barcelona. Barcelona? I don't know how you pronounce it.
I don't know either. It's not Spanish.
How would you pronounce it in Italian?
Oh, in Italian would be Barcelona, but I think the Spanish call it Barcelona.
Yeah,
Barcelona.
in
Barcelona.
Scottish, what do you call it?
Oh, maybe that's
Fucking
Welsh.
Spanish place.
Maybe that's Welsh. Sorry, yeah, always
It
confused.
would be something similar to that, I would imagine.
Behind that wee place we go to in the sun, eh? With all the beer.
Yeah.
Aye,
Aye.
aye.
Speaking a little Edinburgh there.
I know it's pronounced in English, Barcelona. Yeah. Yeah, we used to go there. Can't anymore. That's
Well, it's like when we play football there, they shout at all our players, racial abuse, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, okay, look, Barcelona, we were there. Racial
Yeah.
abuse or not. Whether they were shouting at Lewis Hamilton, I don't know. Probably not. But there you are. That's how that goes. We've lost all our viewers, so there's that. Okay. Anyway, we were at Barcelona 2023 qualifying session. Oh, let me just do this because, like, how do you do that? Is it that or that?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Or that? Or that? There's that. Okay.
Special effects.
Took me a little while. It's all me.
Yeah.
So we were at Barcelona qualifying session. Max Verstappen, easy pole as always this season. Second place, Carlos Sainz, very fast again in the Ferrari. And then, oh, hello.
Oh shit! Sorry about that.
That's all right. I love
Just
myself.
reconnecting there. For some reason, it
I like hearing myself.
dropped me out. But I'm reconnected.
No problem. Third place, Norris Hamilton, I'd like to say, because he drove so well in qualifying. And then Hamilton, because he also drove very well in qualifying, followed by Giorgio Russell and Ocon. And then the also rans of the Aston Martins, surprisingly auto runs in this particular Grand Prix. Anyway, we were there. That was the qualifying. Lights out comes, and it's kind of as they were, more or less, into turn one. The Ferrari of Sainz challenging Verstappen. Verstappen getting to the inside, though, easily enough, and then just doing his usual taking the line, which he's entitled to. Norris and Hamilton coming together, that spoilt Norris's race completely, and he struggled for the rest of the day with problems to do with tyre degradation. He dropped down to about 6th behind Ocon, who again had a very intense race, although like most of the cars, it was going to be difficult. Hamilton also suffered because Stroll managed to get past him on the lap 1, so something happened. It took him a little while to get going. Norris then lap 2 pits for a new wing, which he damaged against Hamilton, hence destroying his race. Very unfortunate considering what a great qualifying he managed to do. Then it was just about Perez, who had a terrible qualifying as one of the also runs at the back, trying to come through. And by lap 7, 8, somewhere around there, Perez was up to a 9th place, chasing down Alphas, one and all, which he spent a lot of the day trying to get past, either Romeo or Tori. Lewis eventually getting past on lap 8, with DRS eventually getting past Stroll. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Stroll. And making it an interesting race. He was then up to 3rd place. It was just a matter of whose tyres were going to hang on. And it turned out to be Hamilton's tyres hanging on better than the Ferrari tyres, who really suffered with degradation on this track. Piastri put in a pretty good race as well, managing to take several overtakes at the beginning. Of course, Perez on medium tyres, coming through the field only up to a certain point where his tyres gave way, the degradation again running behind cars being a serious issue. George Russell up to 5th place, eventually getting past Ocon and showing the good pace that Mercedes have made with their upgrades. Then we came in for our first set of pit stops at roughly lap 14, 15. Ocon in and back out and falling way down, obviously 13th place or so behind the Williams. Wouldn't take him too long to try and get back up nonetheless. And of course, right up to his teammate eventually. Piastri still doing well, hanging on in there. Yet to find out about the longer stints, which the tyres just did not hang on for. Even the hard tyre wasn't hanging on, and that was to be basically the end of or the problem with tactics this race is you could do as much as you liked to have a good stint, but you had to drive slow enough to keep the tyres, and then even when you did drive slightly slower, the tyres still went off because you couldn't go long enough to make up for the time that you were losing against other cars. So there was no right strategy if your car just couldn't keep its tyres. And of course, the only cars that did keep their tyres were going to be Verstappen, of course, now called the tyre whisperer for some reason. Not that he ever whispers, but nonetheless, I guess that Red Bull is amazing on its tyres, or is it being out front? We haven't really decided because Perez didn't have such a good time. Nonetheless, Verstappen first pitting on lap 27. Lap 28, Hamilton finally getting past Sainz into turn 1 with DRS. Fairly easy. And then obviously Perez finally getting past Alonso into 8th place on lap 31 after his pit stop, where he put on fresh rubber and really started taking advantage of that car. Of course, by the time he would get through the pack, his tyres would also be showing a lot of degradation, just like everybody else. Of course, when you have this many high-speed corners, as you do at Barcelona, the new layout, getting rid of the slow chicane, of course, following any kind of car is going to ruin your tyres anyway. I think this is where most of the back teams or the teams following people were really suffering. Eventually, George Russell also catching up to Sainz, lap 35, and getting past George Russell again under DRS with a tyre advantage. And nothing more to say really. The Ferrari's just not fast enough in a straight line. Obviously, they put on extra wing to try and keep their tyres in. It didn't work. Nonetheless, Sainz driving a consistent race. And there we go. Then it was just battling at the rest of the track with Verstappen in first place, Hamilton in second place. Hamilton in second place, Russell in third, Perez getting up to fourth place, although not being able to get any further. Sainz in fifth place, a good result considering. And then Stroll and Alonso coming sixth for Stroll, seventh for Alonso. Alonso cruising up behind Stroll at one point and saying, "I won't overtake. Tell Lance not to freak out and drive off the track like normal." So he didn't. So Stroll did finish in sixth place. Well done to him. Then Ocon, a good drive considering. Then Zhao, where Zhao came from, in for ninth place, a very good result for him. Gasly intense, disappointing. Leclerc unable to get through the pack due to tyre degradation and potentially poor strategy. Sonoda, Pastry. Is it Pastry? It's not Pastry. What's his name?
Piastri. Piastri.
Yes. Thank you very much. Let me say it that because it's an Italian name, is it?
Yeah. It sounds like
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Australian Italian.
Okay, we're going to have to think of a nickname for him then, because there we go. Nick de Vries, 14th place, improving but slowly. Hulkenberg, disappointing. Albon, disappointing in 16th. Norris, very disappointing, had his race ruined early. Magnussen, acceptable. Bottas, I don't know. What the fucking Bottas? let's drag out that old one, eh, Fabio?
Yeah.
And just to finish it off, the lower ranks, the sergeant. And that is my race review for Barcelona. And say thank you very much. I'd like to hand it over now to
Yeah, I mean,
Fabio, who basically the boredom in the plane stains mainly in Spain.
well, it's because So the the race this year are not that bad if you take away the Red Bull. Let me rephrase that. If you take away Verstappen, but that wasn't really good. Was a really boring race. So the fact that I'm yawning thinking about the race. That's what I can say. So it was just one of those Sundays, which is a shame because Barcelona is usually the race. When the teams used to be allowed, when they were allowed, to test, they all test in Barcelona. So the saying went that if you were fast in Barcelona, you were fast everywhere. It's a really peculiar track, and actually, I kind of like the track. They modified, the last corner. They took away the chicane. It was really good. It was also really super weird. They had, like, I think 44 degrees on the asphalt on Saturday, and they had 22 degrees on Sunday, which threw all the tire choices out of the place. Basically, all the tires were performing okay, um, and they all had difficulties, including Red Bull. Verstappen just complained about the tires at the end of it. So I think that was a common thing. The only problem is that Verstappen was so far ahead that he could have stopped and having a full English breakfast, and he could have won anyway. So actually, they called him because he had a warning for track limits. And but the radio, they were not really that worried about it. So, well, you got three, another one, you got to get 5 seconds, and it was something like, I don't know, 20 seconds ahead. So he could have taken two or three of those, and he could have won anyway. Yeah, that was Barcelona. Notable drivers, I would say Tsunoda. Tsunoda was fantastic. I think Tsunoda is the best Japanese driver we've ever seen. It was penalized for something that he did, I think, with Ocon, if I'm not wrong. So he was penalized 5 seconds, and he lost a lot of positions. It was in the points up until that point. But he just, with 5 seconds, he just went at the back of outside the points. uh Alonso, which is, I think Alonso is thinking about having some shares in the team or stuff like that. He just opened the radio, saying, "Yeah, tell Stroll I'm not attacking him and just pushing." The last laps, Alonso never opened the DRS when he was behind Lance Stroll. So, I mean, is the son of the boss? Kind of understand the guy.
I think he's got his eye on staying at the team till the Honda engines turn up now.
Yeah. So you can say, the engine GP2 engine, but yeah,
Stroll did actually on team radio say let Fernando go past me, and he moved over, in fact, to let him go past, but Fernando didn't want to go past. He
Yeah, I mean,
refused.
I'm not really sure that Honda is super excited about having Alonso back with the car of him. They ostracized him, after McLaren when they said, GP2H. Anyway, it's the power of money, so it's there. What else? Some other
They
good
have actually
drivers.
made a comment about that, of
Oh,
course,
okay.
as you would expect,
Yeah, yeah.
to say that they have no problem with Alonso being a race driver for a Honda engine again,
Uh-huh.
because of course, with his experience,
Yeah, yeah.
he must be worth, if he's still racing, he must be worth hanging on to.
Yeah,
Like basically saying, look, he's an old geezer now, so who fucking
yeah.
cares?
Anyway, who else was notable? I mean, you talked about Bottas was notable on the other side of the spectrum. It was really bad. The Chinese guy, uh, Z- uh, Zhang Zhu, I think is
Those
pronounced.
are Hans was,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it was really impressive, really good. Qualifying Ulkenberg, got really good drive, and yeah, I mean, other than that, yeah, Russell. I mean, the Mercedes was really impressive. They changed the car. They brought all the new parts. Actually, they brought new parts in Monaco, but this is where they shone, and that actually shows that you can take a car and turn it around in some way, shape, or form. I mean, they're not, of course, they're not yet at the Red Bull level, but they're a long way, from how shit of a car they managed to make at the beginning. Yeah, I mean, other than that, that's it. I mean, I'm not even talking about Ferrari because fuck me, I don't want to.
Could
So you
could
will let
we
you.
could we just have a few choice words in Italian on Ferrari's performance, please?
I'd rather not.
Well, I don't think we're going
Uh,
to get demonetized, so
well,
go for it,
I know.
Fabio.
Yeah, but they're gonna be really bad. I mean, don't let me open the well, because it's gonna be. It's not. Yeah, yeah. No,
Okay, fair
it's
enough,
gonna be
fair enough.
bad. I mean, somebody will try Google Translate with that, and it's gonna be really really bad. So I mean, a lot of divinities are going to be involved in that kind of thing. The
Okay.
I will say only one thing. And if you ask me further, I can go on that. But I'm really really worried about the fact that the Ferrari has been sauberized by Vasseur, and I'll leave
Okay.
it there.
Yeah, I think so. Sauberized. It sounds like something out of Star Wars, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Never mind, never mind. Okay, thank you so much for that entertaining and interesting recap of what was essentially equivalent to a NASCAR race for me. But okay, I'd like to now just pass it over to our host extraordinaire, not an expert, Lucky Wolford 7.
Okay,
Lucky 7
well,
Wolfen.
yeah,
Over to you, sir.
it's me. It's me, whoever it is.
It's you. I'm sure it
It's
is
me.
you. I've
Yeah.
seen you before.
All right. Um, well, we better start off by mentioning that for the second time this year, 20 cars started the race and 20 cars finished the race. So there's
Impressive.
that. There's that we need to talk about. My man Logan Sargent, who I mention every week, started last after an off in qualifying, finished last, one lap behind the leaders, and is getting further out of his depth with every race, I think. What else we need to talk about? I saw a post race interview
Well,
with Christian
well,
Horner.
before you do, I would like
Yeah.
to address the sergeant thing, if I may, with
Oh,
you.
sorry. Just let me correct myself. That's
Okay,
Logan Sargent. Logan
sergeant.
Sargent.
I beg your
Sargent.
pardon. He has
Yeah.
French heritage. No
Yeah.
wonder he's so. Anyway, before I go there, I would just like to say, look, Formula One is, especially mid-season, well, not even at mid-season yet, but this would normally be like first race in Europe, normally. And one of the things about Formula One, of course, is it's not just a championship for drivers; it's a championship for constructors. So when we say some drivers are out of their depth, it's probably because they're not used to the fact that this is a constructors' championship as well. And in fact, what happens is the cars develop and improve over the whole season. And some cars improve quicker than others, and some drivers don't have the finances to improve. Last year, Williams, for instance, underspent on their 140 million, so to some tune as well. So just to say, look, improving a car isn't as easy as one would think, and just because Williams are moving back in the field, probably is just more indicative of the fact that other cars are improving and they are not. So when we say he's out of his depth or getting further out of his depth or further away from performance, as a rookie, of course, it's not just getting used to the cars in a season. It's also getting used to the fact that you need to push the cars harder and harder each race, as well as keeping up with the upgrades, and that's something that rookies are just not used to doing in any championship other than this one. So just to put that in there as a proviso. Thank you, Lucky.
Sure. No, you're right, but I think in Logan Sargent's case, they just hastened him into that seat maybe just a little too quickly. If you're developing a car, a rookie's not really the best person to have in the driver's seat. But is it Logan Sargent's fault? I don't think so. I think he was hastily stuck in that Williams, and it's showing now. They could have gone with somebody with a bit more experience for a year. I mean, if you can bring back Hulkenberg and what's the other guy's name, Magnussen, why not bring somebody else back with the same kind of experience and put them in the car? But I mean, whether it's or not it's Sargent's fault, I don't know. But I just feel that he's in a place that he's been hastily put in, and it maybe wasn't the best of ideas.
Listen, after I saw the bottom of the Williams because everybody last race they talked about the Red Bull being hoisted, the Mercedes, the Ferrari, but also the Williams were hoisted. So, and I saw the pictures. I'm not really surprised that it's doing bad. I don't know if you guys saw the pictures. I might be finding some of them for later on, but the floor of the Williams is wow. It's really bad. I mean, it's what you think you will do if you got to put two big tunnels underneath and that's it. So I think that car has got problems too. So I'm not actually blaming Sergeant, or Sergeant, too bad for his performances. To be fair,
I think maybe people of our age come to expect a sort of standard from Williams, which is top five. But at the moment, they're not top five. So obviously, the car that Sargent in, it's not a competitive car, despite the fact that we, as Williams, we remember Williams would think it would be. So, I mean, I'm not entirely blaming Sargent, but I think.
Yeah.
Well, so hold on a second. Let me show this one really quick. Hold on a second, just to to see what I'm talking about.
No
problem. 1 second. So okay, let's try this one. So those are the three floors. Okay, so we got the Ferrari on top, the Mercedes, the new version, and the Red Bull. So those were the three which were taking pictures in Monaco, and this is the Ferrari floor. The Williams floor. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll do it again. Okay. So those are the three floors: Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull, and that's the Williams.
Yeah, different angles, of course, but nonetheless, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
it
no, no.
doesn't
Yeah.
look so bad, obvious to me. They've got some of the key features there,
I
which are
mean,
Fun.
important.
look. I
Fun.
mean, look.
Fun.
Obviously, the sculpting is not nearly
I
as
mean, look.
mm,
Look at the stuff which is going on in the Mercedes one
mm,
in this part, and
yeah,
even at the bottom, the Red Bull two has got all this. I mean, even the Ferrari one, which is not, I mean, the super good one,
yeah, it's clean, yeah,
still have something here. That they put
yeah,
some feints. They try to direct, the flow. Mercedes has got here a broken one in this
mm,
area here, like Red Bull. I
yeah.
mean,
Just to go back to that, if you wouldn't mind, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
yeah,
But just to notice,
yeah,
if you go back, yeah, the key
yeah.
point here is that Red Bull at the back end, just where the axle is, also have some height brakes as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Mercedes
yeah.
don't.
No, no, yeah, no,
Just to point
no,
that out, how
right,
advanced
right, right. Yeah.
that Red Bull floor is. It's not just the side strakes. It's also they've
Well,
got
I
some
mean,
elevation strakes.
we can
That's
talk about the floors that we see. I don't.
mm,
I think there's something a little bit more in this area here,
that's what I'm talking about.
especially.
Exactly that.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, regardless,
elevation.
I just
They're elevation strakes.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, I mean, you can see there is some. Well, I
yeah,
would say research here, but
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
of course, there is a big difference because, I mean, if this works, right?
yeah,
Oh, sorry. If these work in some way, in some better than the other,
yeah,
uh, either this one is miles ahead or is way back. There is no way around.
yeah.
It's so yeah. So okay.
Considerably less developed.
Yeah.
But like they were saying, or like I heard someone say, look, you can't develop the underside of the car like that until you've got a good handle on the aero, the whole car. And that's where like people like Red Bull have really taken a big step forward because they've been developing that floor, having a solid aero base at the top to start with, and that's why it's taken so long for the others to catch up, or taking so long for the others to catch up.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, we were getting Mercedes finishing 40 or 50 seconds behind Red Bull when they were still laying off. Yesterday, it was only 23 seconds behind. So, or yeah, was it yesterday? Yeah,
No,
yesterday.
no, no. I mean, so
Just to say, that's kind
no,
of, there
no, no.
has been a closure once people have started copying the.
Well, I think that with these kind of cars is the other way around, in my opinion. I mean, you should really start from the floor and then build the car on top. But that's just me.
No, no,
That
no, no,
doesn't
no.
matter.
I don't mean that. I mean the
Okay.
development of the floor is
Mm,
much trickier because getting the
mm.
CFD to match what's going on to be able to develop the floor is very tricky because you have to have the whole concept of the car in order
Right.
to make these tiny changes on the floor, which will make a huge difference to the car performance.
Mm,
Right, so a lot of people haven't been able to have that, so they've just put a very plain floor in order to
yeah.
make the CFD more accurate, to be able to develop the top of the car.
Mm,
Right, whereas Red Bull have had that advantage now for 2 years. They've had a complex floor. They've already been working on this straight system at the back to give extra potency to the speed to the wind coming through in order to get the diffuser to work harder. And then obviously the B wing stuff, which hasn't even been replicated yet by the other
mm,
teams, particularly. So I'm just saying,
yeah.
that's why the most complex at the moment seems to be the Red Bull. They've had 2 years to develop that floor. Red Bull have just copied Mercedes have copied Red Bull, which is why they have a much more complex floor. Plus, they've been able to
Mm,
throw more cash at it and more time at it. As a result, they've been able to use the maximum amount of time they can to develop this and then build a new one. Whereas teams like Williams just haven't got the finances to go and build a new floor every
yeah.
week in order to test it in the air tunnel
Now
and
listen,
etc.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying that Williams doesn't have good reasons, why,
Yeah,
the car seems so
why they can't?
undeveloped
Yeah,
compared to the others. I'm not saying
mm,
that. I'm just saying, I was just replying, to what Lucky was saying about
right.
the William drivers.
Hmm.
I'm again, I'm not really sure it's all their fault, they're really
No.
racing in a different.
No.
I mean, we can all agree that there are two championships right now, and basically one is already over. The one won by the Red Bull, and then we have the other championship with all
Sure.
the other cars. And
Sure.
Williams, I think it's in a third championship all by himself because of the fact that it's so more. Okay, I want to say primitive, but that's too disparaging. It's
No,
it's so
that's right. That's right.
yeah,
For the reason I said, right? It's to
yeah,
do with
yeah,
CFD.
yeah.
Same with Ferrari. So Ferrari have a very simple lined floor at the moment compared to Mercedes, compared to Red Bull, which are more and more complex. And the reason for this is they haven't got the CFD
No,
tools working
I
properly
mean,
yet.
yeah, I think. Yeah, no, it's okay. Sorry, but I mean, I think there are other reasons. Yeah, I agree with you on principle, but I think the reasons are different. But I don't want to go there right now. So
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
want you guys to go ahead.
No, I just want to rub Ferrari in a little bit.
Oh, no, I mean,
Oh,
listen,
oh.
no, you won't be able to do that. As I told
Yes.
you, if
Yeah.
if I could, I would go there and burn the old department down right now.
Yeah.
So
Okay. That's fair enough. Anyway, look, back to Lucky.
back, back to the actual race itself. I watched an interview with Christian Horner, post race interview with Christian Horner, and Nico Rosberg asked him, "What do you think about Mercedes' leap forward this race?" Leap forward seemed a bit extreme, but Christian Horner said, "Well, no, I'm not worried. They're still 23 seconds behind."
Yeah.
And that was Verstappen on what was apparently the slower of the tire strategies. He went with hards when he could have gone with softs, and then went to softs instead of the other way, or something like that. But he apparently was on the slower of the two strategies. And Christian Horner didn't seem to be at all phased by the fact that Hamilton was behind.
Of course, he wasn't phased. I mean, really, Verstappen was. I don't think he was using the eighth gear. It was lapping in 118. And then said, "Well, I'm going to make a couple of laps," and the other lap it just went 116. It went 2 seconds faster. Just like that, because he said, "Okay, I want to go a little bit faster." I said, "Oh, hold on a second." So it was lapping 118. 2 seconds below what he could have achieved.
Yeah.
So of course Christian Horner is not is not phased by that. If Mercedes, any Aston Martin, Ferrari, God forbid, any other car cannot catch the Red Bull when Red Bull is not going as fast as they can. They still have at least a second and a half in their pocket, without doing nothing at all.
I absolutely agree with you.
So
Absolutely.
it was just, I mean, let them play catch up. When they see they go a little bit faster, you know what, we're gonna go 3/10 of a second faster, and then they're gonna catch those 3/10, and then we're gonna go another 3/10. We got plenty of them. We got 2 seconds, so yeah.
I think that there's still Red Bull, as you say, and then there's the rest. At the moment, or Verstappen and Red Bull and the rest, to be more accurate.
Yeah, because Perez,
we'll give him the credit
really
he deserves, for sure.
And also, of course, they're out front. And just like it was with Mercedes out front, it's not just catching and going the same speed. You've got to get past them and get in front of them in order to show the weaknesses of the car. So, and we haven't even had that situation where people are out front of a Red Bull in order to show its weaknesses. So, I mean, it's a long way off right now. A long way off, Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, Lucky.
No, it's fine. That's absolutely fine. Speaking of Ferrari, I think a lot of people were pinning their hopes on Ferrari this weekend, but I guess Charles Leclerc should have stayed at home because he would have done as much good there as he did at the track. I'm not sure if it was bad luck or what, but it wasn't his weekend. Now, the question you could perhaps answer for me is, why did they start him from the pit lane? Was that to get a different set of tires on or something else?
Yeah, he complained about having issues with with the setup of his car in qualifying.
Okay.
The car apparently was going one way on Friday, and in qualifying it was all over the fucking place. So they couldn't find exactly what was wrong with the rear tires and the rear setup, whatever. So they changed everything. So they changed
Right.
the old back of the car was changed. So that's why they had to start
Fair enough.
from yeah, because they couldn't find what was wrong with the car, which again, it's something else that you don't want me to really go into, because fuck me. I mean,
Science,
it's
I have huge hopes for Science, but he just never seems to deliver at the right time. It's weird. He's got so much. He's like Lando Norris. The pair of them are the same. They have these flashes of brilliance, but then when it comes right down to it, they always seem to fade away, or something silly happens. In the case of Lando Norris, this race, running into the back of Hamilton. I mean, he had a chance there for a really good result, but blew it before the end of the second turn, really, which was a bit of a shame. What was Russell thinking about in qualifying? There's no mirrors on that car. What the fuck is going on with him? That was
Yes.
a strange
Yes.
occurrence.
Well, obviously he wasn't told. I think what actually happened is that earlier in his warm-up lap, he'd been on the radio chatting, I think, and had slowed down somewhat, and then was caught unawares by the Ferrari coming past him because he let him by, and then realised the Ferrari wasn't going to go on a fast lap, right? So he let that. Oh, sorry. So yeah, I think he slowed down during the warm-up lap. He came round to the final corner, let the Ferrari pass as it was going on to potentially a finishing its fast lap, I should say,
Right.
and thought he would try and get a slipstream, right, or a tow down the straight, and then realised that Hamilton was coming up even faster behind him. And then I think the thing is that was Russell's only chance to try and get through to the next qualifying, because he was about to go on his fast lap.
Right.
Right. So the problem was they were both on the same space on the track at the same time. And so he tried to get a tow from the Ferrari, but the Ferrari had already finished and crossed the line. So that hurt him, which meant Lewis's tow was stronger. Right. And then he didn't want him to go past. So when he realized he was just pulling across to take his normal line. So I think, and Lewis just went, well, no, this is my chance to like really hammer in a fast lap again. Although, again, what's going on with Mercedes that they're not saying to Lewis, you don't need a lap, you're already in.
Yeah.
Let Russell go.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So yeah. But again, it's that microsecond communication that we've been complaining about with for a few years with Ferrari, of the message not being able to get through quick enough to the drivers to respond to the race situation, and it costing them. In this case, it really cost Russell big, because of course he had to back out.
I guess he could have been unsighted from Hamilton if he was looking in his mirrors and Hamilton's right behind the Ferrari. The only thing that he would have seen would have been the Ferrari.
No, I think he realised. I think he
Oh, did
realised that
realise?
he
Did
was
he? Oh,
there. I
okay.
think personally he realised he was there, but realised that if he let Hamilton pass, that was the end of. He was out.
Right. Okay.
So he was just being like a normal race driver. Right, I'm going to try and take the line ahead, right, and then Lewis will have to back out. At least I'll get
Yeah.
my lap in, So he was just trying to be a competitive race driver, and I think that will cost Mercedes in the future, But anyway.
Okay. Well, it ended up being a fairly good weekend for the Mercedes guys anyway. 1-2, if even if it was 23, 24 seconds behind Verstappen at the front.
Yeah, but given that, look at how Russell must be feeling, coming home behind Hamilton in third place when he didn't get through the qualifying. Why didn't he get through the qualifying? Because he will think that he could have done a faster lap to get into Q1.
Well,
so if he'd been right up there, what could have happened, right?
I think if I was in the position of either of the Mercedes drivers at the moment, I'd just be glad to get a podium.
Absolutely, absolutely. But like I'm just saying, he thinks he probably thinks he could have beaten Lewis again.
Sure.
And when
Yeah.
it gets to the end of the year as to which driver, George is proving to be quite a challenge for Lewis as a teammate, more so than Rosberg was for many years.
Yeah, Russell definitely seems to be sticking up for himself better than any of the other drivers have done in
So
recent times.
and because of that one incident, that's why Russell probably didn't beat Hamilton or have a chance of beating Hamilton. So I'm just saying, that's how slim these margins are, certainly between teammates.
Absolutely.
Which is why Alonso's conduct is, you can see he's buttered. He's having his bread buttered on one side, and he wants it that way because he knows there's something more to gain. Anyway.
Well, I was just going to speak about the other hopes that we had, and that's the two Aston Martins. Stroll got his first finish behind an unlucky, I would suggest, Fernando Alonso. The weekend didn't go too well for him. Going off on Q2 was a shame in front of his home crowd. But as I said, team radio at the end was Lance Stroll saying, well, tell Fernando to come past, tell him to come past. But Fernando Alonso wouldn't hear of it, and he stuck behind Stroll, so that it was a 6-7 finish for the two Aston Martins, which is further back than I guess we were all hoping would be the case. But that's the way it went. And to be honest, the rest of it was just cars going around a track and not really providing much in the way of any entertainment or racing or anything like that.
Agreed.
There was a funny incident at the end. Was it the Japanese driver who ended up getting a 5-second penalty after trying an overtake but was squeezed out?
Oh, he squeezed Zhao off track, I think.
Right, okay.
Although, was it off track, really? I guess it was. But did they do the same thing to Verstappen when he does it? No, they don't. I think they're being hard on Tsunoda. I really do in this particular thing. And they're just trying to get some markers down. So if it happens...
It did seem a bit like a racing incident rather than anything else.
Well, he definitely didn't leave him room. I'll say that. Should he have left him room? Not really, because I don't think the axles were ahead going into, or at least mid-corner. So I'm not even sure that there was supposed to be left room there. When you look at the one that Verstappen did with, who was it that was second? Sainz in the first corner. Sainz was definitely ahead mid-corner, and he had to drive off track. But in that corner anyway, no one's ever gone around the outside. You're either far enough, you've got more than a half a car length ahead, in which case the inside driver has to give way. But anytime it's even slightly close, the outside driver always has to back out. And that's the old school rules, isn't it? Of course.
Yeah. If you've got position, it's your privilege to take the position you want to. So.
Exactly.
That's always how it used to be. There was another off-track incident, or going off-track incident, and that was Russell in between turn 1 and 3. He basically just missed out turn 2. What do you think about that one, guys? Did he deserve a penalty for that, or is that again? It was either do that or he was going to take out himself and other cars.
I can't actually remember the incident. I think he gained an advantage anyway. So.
Oh yes, he did. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
but in gaining that advantage, I think he probably saved maybe 3 or 4 cars from ending up at the side of the track with wheels missing. So
100%.
I think his discretion was probably the better part of valor in that case, and the stewards made the right decision to just let it go.
I agree.
Do you take the escape option, or do you end up with you and 3 other cars out of the race? I would go with the the latter.
Yeah, his
Or the former, rather.
self-preservation, his self-preservation is second to none.
Yeah.
And if he thinks he needs to
Of
drive
course.
off track, I think obviously if he he went round the bollards were poorly placed. Normally they're even further off to the left than in that corner than they have been in previous years. But I think because they removed the chicane, the speed down the straight, although the same, I don't know why they decided to move them, but he actually went around the bollard. So technically, there was no rule break other
Sure.
than gaining some a slight time advantage, which just kept his position. So I don't think
Yeah.
he made advantage of it.
Yeah, I think common sense prevailed in that
Yeah,
case.
I do as well. Again, amazing
And
how inconsistent the rulings are on one corner, albeit the most
yeah,
contentious, one of the most contentious corners in Formula One, other than Australia one. Spain one is always going to be contentious, and Portugal, of course. Yeah, carry on.
but another. Did we actually have any sort of full course yellow, red flag, pace car, anything incidents like that? I don't think there was such a thing this time, was there?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
So
No.
that's a serious bonus.
Well, ish. I mean, it's sanitized, right? Obviously, the gravel traps they've lessened the penalty of going into them.
Well, yeah, you,
And we had cars in the gravel traps all weekend, and every single car made it out, especially
yeah,
coming into like turn 13 or 12, as it probably is now.
that's an advantage of not having one of these tunnel-like tracks where any deviation from the track is you into a wall. There's runoff areas here. People can make a slight mistake and still get away with it. So
we didn't even need yellows because cars were able to get out of the gravel.
Yeah, indeed. Whereas a similar accident at the tunnel tracks would have meant pace cars, yellows, all sorts of nonsense. So that's one of the advantages of tracks like Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean, Barcelona is a modern track as well. I mean, introduced in the 90s, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, was it the 90s
still,
or
still
the
a more
80s?
still a more traditional
90s.
track. But
it is, yeah. But it's a modern track. It was designed specifically for F1 with large runoff areas, large gravel traps, I should say, which if whatever, obviously not as modern as Castellet. It's not called Castellet anymore. It's called something else. But
and it wasn't designed by that dude. Who the fuck is that
Tilke.
guy? Yeah. So
Tilke and his crew. Yeah, there is that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although noticeable again, like famous for being a power track, right? They used to in the 80s or in the 90s rather. They used to go 2x2, all the way along. So again, interesting race for that. Could have been an interesting race for the fact they weren't 2x2. But
so anyway, we've had the Spanish Grand Prix, and what we can safely say is Verstappen and his Red Bull are basically playing with the rest of the field, and Christian Horner doesn't seem to give a fuck about anybody else. So that's how confident things are in the Red Bull stable.
I think that is a fair summary, actually. Yeah.
and
Helmut Marko taking personal calls from hookers halfway through the race. So, there you go.
There was that really, really funny thing about Russell complaining about the rain for a couple of laps. And then he suddenly realized it wasn't actually rain, which was seeing on his visor. It was his sweat, which was, going in the visor from the inside. So he saw drops and he thought we're outside, it was rain. And after 2 or 3 laps said, well, maybe it's my sweat, into the visor, it's not rain. Because nobody was seeing rain. They was complaining about, rain turn 5. What?
Yeah, that's quite interesting actually, because if you look back at the shorts that they made of that, or the commentary that's been put on it, none of it mentions that timeline. None of it mentions that, a couple of laps earlier he went, is it raining?
Yeah.
Is it rain at turn 5? Rain at turn 5. and then nobody comes back, and then he says, "Is it just me that's reporting rain at turn 5?" And then a couple of a lap later, and he goes, "Oh, it's my sweat." Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
and all the fucking shorts are just, "Is it raining at turn 5 or is it my sweat?" "Oh, it's my sweat." Okay, you know,
yeah.
like he figured it out on the fly. No, he
No, no,
didn't.
no, no. He
He
didn't. He
didn't. You
didn't.
know, just to say. Anyway, that's Russell for you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like Martin Brundle said, "Sweat? I didn't think George Russell did sweat."
yeah,
So it's just like, oh, okay. There you go. Obviously, they have improved the amount of G forces that Mercedes puts out. So yeah, they must have put a lot more downforce on that car.
yeah,
But there you go.
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Lucky. Is there anything else you wanted to add there?
Not really. There was one huge story after the race. Mercedes were fined $10,000 for allowing their physiotherapists into the cool down room before the prize giving ceremony.
Yeah.
So there you go.
10,000.
£10,000 for
Right.
letting two guys into a room too early.
Too early. Yeah. Okay.
So
I mean,
it's
I'm. What can we say?
It's
Go ahead,
it's
Fabio.
like a fantasy fucking world they're in.
I mean, it's 5,000 each. So I mean,
Yeah.
as far as Zucker goes, in that environment, it's not that pricey.
See, it's not as bad as helmet. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah,
It's not,
yeah,
as, it's not
yeah,
as much as Marco paid for the weekend.
yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah,
There is that. I did not know that, and I'm just amazed again at the
And
like. What
well,
the fuck? It's
exactly.
FIA have got stupid in the last God knows how long. Well, with the Massey stuff, and then onwards from that. So anyway, there you go. Okay. Thank you very much for that. That's incredibly enlightening. Okay, we need to just finish up here. I will just say, obviously, we've got a little section, as always, from our not an expert. Have we not? Are you ready to move on to that now?
Well, certainly. However, after last week, I've been inundated with messages from Italian F1 fans who are absolutely shocked and appalled that an Italian F1 fan couldn't name the chicanes at Monza. Isn't that in school curriculum? The corners and chicanes at Monza? Isn't every school kid have this drummed into them at an early age?
no, not really,
Yeah.
not really. So yeah, there is that. Carry on.
Carry on.
An Italian F1 fan that didn't remember the Scotty chicane. You put that up far too early, by the way.
Oh, have I? I
Yes,
beg your
you
pardon.
put
I
that
thought
up.
we were
Yeah,
just going to get to it. Let me stop
you-
presenting that then.
See, I think you perhaps just ruined things there. But never mind.
No, I hope not. Come on now.
Okay, well, what we'll do is while you're forgetting about that picture that you just saw,
Yeah.
we'll start with the F1 myth. 1990 Suzuka. Many people under the impression that the pole position at that race was changed by Jean-Marie Balestra to somehow disadvantage Ayrton Senna. This was bollocks. This did not happen. Senna asked for the pole position site to be changed. However, the answer was no, because why should they? The first year that F1 went to Suzuka, Gerhard Berger was on pole position at the dirty side of the track. In 88, Senna was in pole position on the dirty side of the track, and 89, Senna was in pole position on the dirty side of the track. There was no changing of the pole position by Jean-Marie Balestra or anyone else. Senna requested the pole position be put to the clean side. However, as I said, they were under no obligation to do it because it wasn't the pole position place and hadn't historically been the pole position place. So there's the myth. If you think that Jean-Marie Balestre had it in for Senna and was desperately trying to disadvantage him, that wasn't the case in this situation. However, there might have been other times that that was the case, but in this case, no. There was no shenanigans at all about pole position. And that's the myth.
Thank you very much for that. And the trivia question. I'm guessing that's what these videos are for.
They are indeed. They are indeed.
Is the answer to number one?
No, that's not the answer to number one. However, you kind of okay. We'll just go it and we'll try and you'll just have to try and forget seeing that.
I did. I have forgotten it already.
What picture? What picture?
I don't know. Was it Canada 1977?
Yes, it was indeed. So we'll start off with. Well, let me just explain what we're doing here first. I've got 6 Grand Prix of varying years and varying locations, and for each Grand Prix and year, I have 2 names. Now, these people whose names I will mention were all involved in an incident of the same kind. So if I was to say that 1989, Prost and Senna were teammates and hit each other, then the clue would be 89 Suzuka, Prost and Senna. And then the next one on the list would be like Spain 2023, Russell and Hamilton. And you've got, again, teammates crashing into each other, as they did on Saturday. Okay, so the first.
So no, not a second. So the answer is always, people crashing into each other.
No. Well,
there's
a common answer. A common answer to all 6 events. Okay, they all did the same thing in each case. Okay, so we'll start with the one you saw. And don't bring any videos up yet, but the one you saw was Canada 1997. And the 2 people involved in the incident were James Hunt.
1977, yeah.
1977.
Yeah.
2 people involved were James Hunt and Ernie Strong. That's Ernie Strong. Now, I've got 6. What I'm going to do is, if you can get it in the first 2, you'll get 3 points. If you get it in the second 2, I'll give you 2 points, and if it comes down to the last one, you get 1 point.
So and you will get commonality.
Yes, commonality.
Okay, great. Shall I put the first one up?
No.
Oh,
These are going to be for illustration purposes after the question only.
Okay.
Okay, so they'll just back up the answers that were given. So your first one is, as I said, the 2 people involved were James Hunt and Ernie Strong. That's Canada 1997.
Okay. Okay, well, I don't think they were teammates, so I don't think it's that. Fabio, 1977
I'm looking
Canada.
I'm looking for a kind of event that happened.
So, hold on a second. Don't we need at least another event to figure out what is the commonality?
You do, but you could take a guess right now, and you might get it right.
I don't know. They catch fire. Fuck me if I know.
That's the kind of answer we're looking for, but that's not the answer in this case.
That's not the answer.
Okay.
They crash in qualifying.
No.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Shall I put this up now?
Okay. Well, you've had a guess on that one, and you've got them wrong. So we'll go to the second one of the first 2. We've got Spa 1987. And the 2 people involved are Ayrton Senna and Nigel Mansell.
Spa 87. Senna and Mansell.
Senna and Mansell.
in '87 at Spa.
Yep.
Sorry, can I just clarify, because it's really confusing to me? Is it something that happened to them together or separately? Because
Together.
So something happened with Senna and Mansell that they collided or whatever the fuck it happened.
Or went on fire, or had a kiss, or whatever you want.
But it's not like a tire blew up for them and then
Well, it could be.
the same.
It could be.
You're not answering my question then. It's really confusing. But yeah.
Well, it could be any kind of event. It could have been a tire blowing. They both had tires blowing up on the main straight. It could be that they both went off at the same corner. It could be that both of them went into the pits to have wings replaced. It could be any event. But in this case, there's a commonality to all these people and all these races.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember what happened to either of them in Spa. So.
Okay. You want to have a guess of any kind, Samus?
No, I'm trying to think that particular race. 87. I mean, 87. No, I've got no idea. Okay. I mean, Mansell must have been. Oh, no. Okay, no idea.
Okay, right. So we're down to the last four. So because it's the second pair, you can get 2 points if you get it on this.
Okay.
So we've now got the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix, and we have Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon. That's 2018 Brazil,
18.
Verstappen and Ocon. They did something the same as Hunt did with Ernie Strong and Senna did with Nigel Mansell.
Okay, Senna did with Mansell.
And that does make it slightly easier.
Yeah, it really does.
So they crash at the restart after the safety car.
No. Nope.
Okay, I don't know. Well, we've that's what I was going to say something similar. They had a crash.
No, not crash.
Okay, next one.
Okay, where will we go to make it not quite so easy? Okay, we'll go with again Spa. This time it's 1998, and the two names are Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard.
I've no idea. Yeah.
Spa.
Still no?
Maybe actually, because there is one famous incident between Schumacher and Coulthard, which was I think Coulthard didn't take his helmet off. Is that right?
No.
Well, no. I mean, that's not the thing.
Remember
that happened in the incident. Coulthard kept his helmet on, and then Schumacher steamed into his pit.
Oh, you're getting there.
Yeah. Okay. So I know what it is. Then. Yeah.
Yeah. They had a fist fight of some sort.
Yeah.
There we go. Physical altercations between them all. I'll go through all six that I had. We've got Hunt and Ernie Strong. If you want to bring up that video, by the way, the Canada 1997. If you want to bring that up,
that one. 1970 Canada 77. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Pardon.
We had.
There we go. Is it up full screen or is it big enough?
Yeah, we've got it now. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let me play it then.
Okay, what we've got here is James Hunt, after a miscommunication with Jochen Mass, ended up, as you see, in position he is now. Now, Ernie Strong is the guy with the red hat on. Okay? And if we keep watching, James Hunt, who was wanting to shake his fist at Jochen Mass, ended up putting Ernie Strong on his arse, as you can see, and then immediately apologized for hitting him.
Mais en britannique courtois, Il présente ses excuses
Okay,
à
we'll
l'officiel
go on
qui a
to the
été
second one.
ainsi
And this is
envoyé au
one we
tapis.
don't have any video of, and that's Senna and Mansell in Spa '87. Senna took Mansell out on the first lap, trying to go around the outside of him. I can't remember where. They both ended up off the track. Mansell got a hold of Senna by the collar, put him up against an advertising hoarding, and basically said to him, "That wasn't the best idea, Ayrton. Perhaps next time you should think more carefully." But with no video of that. Moving on, the next on my list was going to be another one we don't have any video of, and that was Ayrton Senna and Eddie Irvine, 1993 Japan. After Irvine unlapped himself and basically got in the way of Senna, who was in the lead of the race, they had a small altercation in which Ayrton Senna knocked Eddie Irvine on his arse, because Irvine basically laughed at Senna for saying you shouldn't be a naughty boy and get in the way of the leaders. Okay, following that, we've got the one that you've got video of, which would be the next one on the list there, Simos, and that's Nelson Piquet and Alessio Salazar, who in 1982, Germany had a small altercation.
This is brilliant.
After Salazar basically just got right in the fucking way when he should have.
He's overtaking him for the not for the leads. This is passing a back marker.
Yeah,
that's correct. He was lapping him at the time. Yeah. So there we go.
And just to say also, Piquet was in the running for the championship that year.
Oh,
and
absolutely. Yes.
This is the race that ruined his championship.
So Piquet, his usual calm self, is saying, "Salazar, can we exchange insurance details, please?" So there you go. Another one one that I did mention earlier was, of course, Verstappen and Ocon, which will be the next one on your list there, Simon's next video.
Yeah, let me just find it. There it is.
After the race, Verstappen decided he wanted to have a bit of a word with Ocon.
Go down. Why you get fired? Are you crazy? You're fucking. You fucking you bloody bastard bitch. You bloody fucking mother bloody bitch. Fuck you. Fucking bloody bastard. Thank you, bloody.
That obviously isn't the original audio, by the way. So there you go. Yeah, again, it was a case of somebody trying to unlap themselves. Ocon was trying to unlap himself from Verstappen towards the end of the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix, and caused Verstappen to spin. And he was most upset about the incident, and went to see Ocon at the weigh-in afterwards.
Yeah.
And the last one,
just to comment on that quickly. Which is, I like the way he pushes them, and Ocon was all like, yeah, sorry, mate, my fault. And then he realises that there's some PR in this, that he can't look like a pussy too much. So he tries to push him back, which he fails to do. And then goes, yeah, come on then, when Verstappen's walking away. Just got to say, very typical French. No, I'm joking, but very interesting how Ocon behaved during that entire kind of thing. That's all.
Yeah, he tried to play the innocent to start off with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mate. Mate. It's no worries. Yeah. Anyway, there you go.
And of course, the last one we've got is Schumacher and Coulthard. The one you got the answer on was 1988 at Spa.
Okay.
Schumacher was in the lead of the race. Coulthard was actually being lapped, and Schumacher ran into the back of Coulthard, taking off his front right wheel, complete assembly, and then headed into the pits. Let's hear Murray.
I love Murray Walker.
I knew he was angry. You know, his neck was red and his eyes were out in stalks, and obviously the team kept us apart.
See, Coulthard's got his helmet on.
Yes, love it. So there we have it.
See, Ferrari trying to pull the garage down, and then Schumacher, no, fuck this.
Fuck it, I'm going. Where is he?
Look at him, look at him.
It was actually a very dangerous situation
I knew he was angry.
that occurred.
Neck was
But
red and his eyes were out in stalks, and obviously
Coulthard
the team
says that
kept us apart.
he'd been told to slow down and let Schumacher pass by the team. Ferrari had actually gone to McLaren and said, listen, Coulthard's not in the running. Please don't let him hold up Michael. And the McLaren team agreed to that. They radioed Coulthard and said, listen, let him pass. Don't get in his way. But when he did try to do that, Schumacher, blinded by the spray from the back of his McLaren, went straight into the back left of Coulthard's car, taking off pretty much the whole back wing assembly, I think.
The front
And
wing,
of course-
his front right wheel went into the back of McLaren.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, took off the back.
I mean, again, this is the idiocy of it for me, right? Because in that particular incident, if they hadn't have radioed Coulthard, nothing would have happened, because Coulthard would have been going at racing speed, right? But because he slowed down to let Michael pass, and then in that spray, there was no way Michael could have known that he was exactly where he was. That caused the incident.
Coulthard slowed down in the racing line. That was the problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
he wouldn't have slowed down if he hadn't have been radioed.
Yeah, but I mean, it was radioed that somebody was going back to make him pass, and he slowed down in the racing line. I mean, how idiot you got to be to do that?
Guaranteed, absolutely
Yeah.
guaranteed. Well, there you go. That's what I'm saying. If he hadn't slowed down, Schumacher would have got past him at the chicane. But no, they had to. Ferrari had to get into McLaren to say, "Don't slow us down."
Oh, so now it's Ferrari's fault. I was wondering where the fuck you were going to go.
No, it's teams, both teams, trying to organise and control the drivers. Whereas if you just let them get on and do it, there would have been no problem at all.
Yeah, I think it was an unfortunate situation, and it was quite a dangerous situation as well. If you remember, the start of that race was a complete fucking mess as well.
Absolutely. Was that the one that Ralph should have won, but Damon Hill ended up winning? Is that the same race?
That's the one.
Jordan won too.
Yeah, there was words on radio from Damon Hill basically saying that this could end in a 1-2, or it could end up with both cars in the gravel trap, and it's my fucking decision which way it goes.
Yeah, so, I think Eddie didn't want the Schumacher to win anyway, because he was a Schumacher, because of how badly.
Yeah, and that's what caused
what had happened. Although
between the Schumachers.
Although later, of course, Eddie said, if it wasn't for Michael, we'd have still been a back of the grid team.
Yeah,
because it was Michael that because he had to pay to get out of his contract, gave us the money for the next year. To start the team improving. So.
It definitely caused a rift between Michael Schumacher and Eddie Jordan, and I believe that Schumacher went to see Jordan after the race to ask politely why he didn't let his brother finish first.
Yeah.
And Eddie Jordan basically said, "This is my team, get the fuck."
Yeah, absolutely. Although, as I say, if it wasn't for Michael leaving to go to, I was going to say Red Bull for a minute there. No, who am I thinking of? The fashion brand.
Renault.
Yeah, Renault.
Benetton.
Benetton, that's what I'm thinking. If it wasn't for Michael going to Benetton, then Eddie wouldn't have been paid the X million dollars that he
He
needed for
wouldn't
the
have been in the
next
position he
season.
was in.
So
It was like a Kerching moment for
yeah,
Eddie Jordan.
it really was a big
Sure.
payday, and gave them enough to improve the car for the next year to make them half compatible, competitive,
Yeah.
in order to start them. So he ended up selling his team for much more than it was really worth, as well. So just to say.
So there we go. That was today's
Thank you.
trivia question.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, Fabio, you get no points.
Mm.
It was
Oh.
Simons that got it, and he got it on the second pair, so he gets 2 points.
Third pair.
And
Got
that
it on the
puts
third
the
pair.
scores on the doors, if I'm not mistaken. 6 points to Fabio and 7 points to Simons at the moment.
That's how close it is, people. So please leave a like down at the bottom if you want Fabio to win, and a dislike if you want me to win. And we'll see how many people have got likes and dislikes, and we'll start comparing them. So that's one way to do it. Next,
What's also a good idea is if you dislike it, make sure you hit the dislike button twice so everybody knows that you dislike it.
yeah. So in 2 weeks' time, we will. Sorry, I'm finishing up now. Lucky. Sorry to pass on from that. We've gone
That's
over
fine.
in an hour, which at Barcelona is amazing, right?
Absolutely.
2 things I've got to say to finish up with. Firstly, of course, you said English breakfast in Spain. Of course, English food in Spain is, of course, paella and chips. So you were slightly wrong there. And of course, a pint of lager. That's breakfast. So there we go. And secondly, in 2 weeks' time, we will be in Canada at the St. Lawrence Seaway for the Circuit de Villeneuve, and a wonderful race that has given us in the past. And any predictions as to who will win, guys?
Oh, I have no idea. This is going to be very close.
Tsunoda's
Okay.
going to win.
Let me just say this. My crack says it's going to be Sargent. Okay.
Oh,
My crack has never been right. Okay, thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody who left a like. And we will see you all in the next 2 weeks for Canada. Thank you all.
okay.
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Cheers,
Take care,
ciao,
guys.
ciao.
See ya.
Ciao, ciao.